All right, we're finally back with episode 2 of the UPIKE Sports No Sports podcast. I recorded the episode you're going to hear today a couple of weeks ago and had every intentions of getting it up on Tuesday, and then all of a sudden the college basketball season started and we got just swamped with events here. We had NCAA Division I exhibition trips to Kentucky and Tennessee in men's basketball, and Eastern Kentucky and Kentucky in women's basketball. And then we got through with that week, and we played one more at Western Kentucky down in Bowling Green. So, to be honest, I have just been living on the road, not over to be able to get in the office too much and get this one put together. But now that we're finally back and getting in a groove of things, I've been lucky to put this one out. I kind of called this a grab bag episode. It wasn't a main topic I was going to talk about with this student athlete, but brought in Seth Millar from the football team and his assistant coach, wide receivers coach, director of ops, Justin Lamb, who's also a Hall of Fame member here at the school. And we kind of sat around, just talked about what made Seth unique and things about Justin that he enjoyed. And we got talking about fishing with him quite a bit. That's a big part of his life outside football. And then got to learn a little more about Seth. He's one of the school's all-time best running backs. He's second on the all-time yards list. He's had the most carries for us here at UPIKE. He's a senior, and he's just a joy to talk to. He's an English major here at UPIKE. It's a demanding major for a student athlete. Really proud of him for the work he does there. He's really into creative writing. Just a creative guy and has a lot to say. We go down a couple of just some sports-related topics. Try not to do that, but we actually did talk some about amateurism and the NCAA with their video games and jersey sales, things like that. We also talked about a couple of his creative writing pieces and a little bit of what he might want to get into after his time here at UPIKE's over. So hopefully we can get back into a groove of doing these episodes. It's something I've really enjoyed doing with our first one a few weeks ago with the women's soccer team. And so without further ado, we'll just stop here and bring you episode 2 of the UPIKE Sports No Sports podcast. Real quick, let me just go ahead and say thank you once again to the Holler on UPIKE and the director over there, Bruce Parsons. He was our producer on this one, did a great job as always, and we really, really appreciate having the avenue to do this. So here it is, episode 2. Say something out of control or like give away some secret about our lives, we can go back and cut it out. We don't want to get too crazy here.
That's good.
But I had women's soccer head coach in here last week, and one of his players, and she had traveled overseas over the summer, so Eleanor Hollingsworth. So we had to talk about that. Now, this time around, I had no idea what we're going to talk about. So I wanted a football player. So I came in and I said, Al, I need a football player. I'm thinking Seth Millar or Millar. That's the first topic we're going to get to. I know it.
Millar.
No. But anyway, so I'm saying, give me a football player. I think I want to go with Seth, and we get a coach in there. So he said, Lamb be pretty good. Now, originally, we were going to get on a boat and go out and fish a little bit, maybe even get Seth out there. I don't know. But the weather, I wasn't sure it was going to be this nice. So for now, we're going to stay in the studio. I'm calling this episode a grab bag episode. I don't know what we're going to start talking about, but we're going to get to know Seth off the field because he's definitely been one of my favorite athletes since I started working here last year for his on-the-field stuff. It's Seth. I'm going to go ahead and get this one out of the way. Probably the single most athlete in my career that has confused me, not me so much, but helping other schools with the pronunciation of his name. It is spelled M-I-L-L-A-R. Now, Seth, you give us the real answer. Is it Miller or Millar? Set the record straight.
It's Miller.
Okay, now, is that any background on that with your family? Have you met anybody else with the A Miller?
No, the only A Miller I've ever seen is Kevin Millar, who used to play for the Red Sox.
So you're basically saying right now that he goes Millar.
Yeah.
So when was it decided in your family to go with the Miller?
What I was told is that when the lineage of my family first started, it was actually Mylar. It was M-Y-L-L-A-R.
Okay.
And then when they came to America, they changed it.
They needed something a little more typical, I guess. Okay. I'll go with that. I mean, Justin, and we don't hide away from the secret. Seth came to us from Georgetown. They're a healthy rival with us. We like those folks. But so when you're first making contact with him, did you think you had Seth Millar or Millar?
Oh, it's Millar.
Okay.
It's
So you
still,
all had that
still,
on
it's still Millar.
The point of this podcast is to not bring up sports as many times as possible. Now, last week, I think we may have mentioned sports about 6 times. Let's see where we get with this one. For one thing, I know we're going to talk about some wrestling. Let's call that a drama, a theatrical drama maybe, so we'll get away with it. Now, real quick, though, to set the record straight, tell us about when you first started recruiting Seth, and how did he get here from Georgetown?
It actually, when Coach Hilton became our head coach, him and another player that actually played for Coach Hilton at Bell County, the DB. And I know they started talking, and I guess I can't even remember his name right now.
Matt Raines.
Yeah, Matt Raines. I guess they were real good buddies, and when Matt decided to come, I guess Seth joined in with him.
Okay.
So,
and now I came here last year, but you were here as a sophomore. So this is your 3rd season with UPIKE?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, and we'll go ahead and throw out one more sport thing, trying to get all these notes out. But Seth is going to leave us as our 2nd leading rusher all time. He went over 2,000 yards here in the last game. He's already the leader for the most carries now. So that means we put a lot of trust in him, and you all don't have any problem giving him the ball.
No, definitely not.
And now sports will come to an end for a while. So, grab bag episode. We're going to start with a simple question. So we'll start with Justin. So it's a night. Football season's over. You have nothing to worry about. Don't think about football, okay?
Okay.
What are your hobbies, interests? What's a typical weekend for Justin Lamb in the off season?
Typical weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fishing for me.
Okay.
That's easy.
I knew where that was going. Okay. Now, are you get up at the 6 a.m. guy? Do you like a dusk fishing? What's your schedule?
Whatever I have planned, to be honest with you. There's been times that I've woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be on the lake before sun hits.
Okay.
But then there's been other times I wait till 7, 8 o'clock at night before I start.
Are you on the banks, or do you have a boat you get out on?
Well, I got myself. If I'm by myself, I just usually go on the banks.
Mm-hmm.
But
give me the 2 best fishing locations in Pike County.
In Pike County, well, I always go to the fish trap, and if I'm not there, I go down here to the Pikeville Pond, but on the opposite side of the. Not the one with the boat dock. It's on the other side.
And what's your biggest catch in Pike County?
I think probably last year I caught about a 3-pounder over at Fish Trap.
Awesome. So. You get done fishing though, and it's you got to go home, maybe relax, go out and do something. What's like another hobby other than fishing, or are you just a fisherman?
If I could fish every day for the rest of my life, I really would.
Okay, you know how a lot of times people will say it's God, family, football. What's your 3?
God, family, fishing, then football.
Now, people,
we're sure it's not 2. Like you switch 2 and 3.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah. Mine's like you get in trouble with that one though, especially if you're like dating a young lady ever or something. You gotta like make sure where you're putting them. But a lot of times I'm like God, video games, and family. I don't know. So what's go over here to Seth, and Seth, you're getting the same question. It's your senior year. You're going to be done with football in a couple months. Who knows where the rest of the season takes us? What will we likely find you doing when football season ends? And this is not as far as your education or where you're going to work. What's a hobby? What's the interest?
I think the first thing I'm going to do after football's over is probably take a lot of naps.
Okay.
We don't get a lot of sleep during the season, so I think scientifically that means you have to make up for all that lost time, and you just nap it out.
Could you like literally go into like a bear hibernation-esque kind of thing? No pun intended.
I could do that.
Okay. So, but you do have plenty of time to study. Let's keep that in mind. Now, these guys give you time to study, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're getting off the field. Because what I'm hearing, Justin, is we got a guy who can't stay awake right now.
Yeah.
He did look pretty awake, though, at the Georgetown game when he hurdled that dude.
He did.
I didn't know what was going on. I seen it in it. Like, I was up in the press box. He made a little turn, and I saw you kind of looking. You timed that. It's like you knew what you were doing. Did you see that 2 seconds before? Or did it just happen spontaneously?
Well, I saw they had 2 defenders out on the left by the sideline, and then I came up on that guy, and I guess I was like, I'll just go over him instead of around him.
Well, I mean, now if he had gone in the air, Justin, and just gotten wiped out his legs, and something terrible happens,
happened. Yeah. That happened last year.
Okay, then it wouldn't have been a good play.
No.
When did that happen last year?
Ed Waters.
That's right.
I got over him, and he kind of like threw his shoulder up, and I just flipped and landed on my back.
Well, it definitely got the crowd going. That was a momentum swinging play, and so we appreciate it. But dang, I think it's like 3 sports references now. I got to stop this. All right, we'll get back to some more hobby talk. But first, I need to bring up how I got Seth on as a guest. I kind of hinted on it earlier. I asked the coaches who would be interesting, and I never really got any details, but they would just smile and say, Seth's interesting. He'd be entertaining. Any idea why they'd say that? Why would I get that look when I said I was thinking about Seth from Coach Holland and Coach Lamb? It just kind of said, like, yeah, he might have something for you.
Probably because, one, me and Lamb argue 24/7 over probably the dumbest things.
Give me like a typical argument.
Okay, handshake. We get into it about if it's a good enough handshake, and we'll probably have like 6 handshakes in the morning at practice before we settled on that's an appropriate and good enough handshake.
So it's like it's not the handshake like after a big play. It's just like, hey, when you first see him in the morning for practice, you'll give each other like a little how you doing. But does the handshake change from time to time, or do y'all have one you go to?
No, it's just a general handshake, but whether
okay. Was it firm enough?
Yeah.
Was it? Did you look in the eye?
How
you doing?
Sometimes he tries to out-firm me in the handshake, and I'm not going to back down from him. He's my coach, but I'm not going to back down on the handshake.
So there's been like a standoff maybe of like 30 seconds?
A couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that could be a reason. When you can argue about handshakes, I'd say that's probably why they were smiling at me, like, we're going to bring in Seth, and he may just surprise you with what he has to say. For one, he's an English major. You don't see a lot of that with student athletes. That's a major that can take up a lot of time when you're so busy on the field. How did you decide to go into that?
I've always just liked to write. I feel like it's kind of a good escape for me, and I've always been fairly decent at it. At first, when I came to college, I wanted to do English, like secondary education, and then later on I just liked more of the straight English classes, so I switched to that.
So as far as a career path, are you getting away from the thought of teaching, or is that still out there?
I mean, it's still out there, but I want to explore other options. I feel like if you're a straight English major, it gives you more options, and then instead of just settling into, like, I'm going to teach. So
I think a lot of times when you're an English major, like, you worry about what the job's going to be and how you're going to bring in money, so a lot of people will just go straight to teaching. But you literally have to keep at it, like you're talking. Just keep writing. You have to probably work for free for a little bit, just maybe doing some internships. Now, when you write, do you enjoy like telling a narrative story, or are you more like a news writer? What would be an ideal situation?
I would like to do like some sports journalism.
Okay.
I've had a few journalism classes, but I do have some creative pieces, like creative nonfiction, that I wrote for my senior seminar class.
And could those ever be like turned into like a novelization of them, or do you like the short story format?
I like the short story format a lot better.
Tell us about one of them, one of your favorites.
One that I wrote for a conference in Savannah, Georgia last year. It was called Broken Dolls, and it was about my aunt who passed away, and it was just kind of how we really don't appreciate things until they're gone. I know it's kind of a cliche metaphor, but I don't think I've ever really had an experience where I felt like it was more true, and like with some of the personal experiences I had with my aunt.
So was it like a direct relation? Was your aunt a character in it, or did you kind of like do a symbolic writing of it?
No, it was directly. Like there were quotes from her that actually happened.
That's really interesting. I mean, is that kind of your way to relax off the football field? Would be sitting down, and when you get those projects in school, does that help you take your mind off the game?
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm also really bad about like song lyrics.
Okay.
Like I could sit and listen to a song like 8 times and just go over the lyrics and like what they mean and like how it could apply to me.
I always like, if I got a song I like to like pull the lyrics up, maybe one of those lyrics websites, and read along, because like I think there's so many songs where you listen to it and you just kind of hum along. You have no idea what it's about. So a couple times I've been surprised, like, whoops, that's a weird song. But most of the time I like a lot of rock music, and you'll just read the lyrics, and I think it helps you almost like the song better by just having that pulled up. So back in the day when people bought CDs, I don't know if people know what those are anymore, but I used to like it when the little pamphlet would have the lyrics in there. So that was good stuff. Now, Justin, back to your hobby of fishing. Is that your writing? Is that how you relax off the field?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
like reading a book and stuff like that for me is a familiar feeling, but you can get maybe where you're super into it and maybe your mind isn't able to relax. Now, when you're fishing, are you super into the sport, dying to get that next catch, or can you enjoy a day when you don't catch anything?
I can enjoy a day with not catching anything. It's just being outside with nothing, really no worries. Because, you know, if you catch another fish, then it's great. But you're still out there. I'm still out there enjoying what I'm doing. It's still contemplating or going through your mind, you know, where you're going to cast the next time or what lure you're going to use. So there's still a thought process to it, but yet it's always fun enough to where you're not really worried about it.
Yeah.
So I could definitely, if I've got 1,000 things on my mind, I can go fishing and be everything clear.
When you're on your own, do you have the music playing on your phone at all, or do you like the silence?
Silence.
Yeah, I'm big into that too.
Silence.
I think people, especially maybe the younger generation, don't understand the value of silence maybe. I know when I drive my car sometimes, I'll not have anything going. Yeah. And if I'm riding with somebody, they'll be like, dude, Dan, do you realize that we've been sitting here for 30 minutes with not – I'm like, yes, I do realize that.
And I think you can get caught up in that because you're so used to it with when you're by yourself not listening to it that even when somebody's with you, you can kind of just focus them out or drown them out into whatever you're just driving and not really remember that they're there.
That's because especially because I know Seth and Justin, your days right now are like you probably wake up thinking football, go to bed thinking football, and then when I'm in my office over there and being the assistant athletic director and sports information director, my life is spent like what's the next stats, what's the next thing I have to create, what's the next this or that. So doing this show and talking about things like that is the big benefit. Really, it's for me, it's better. I would probably get to know you all better in this 30-minute window than we probably have the 2 years I've been here. So that's why we're doing this show, because I know like Eleanor last week was like, Dan, I really enjoyed that. I was like, okay, yeah, that's good stuff. So always find something to do to get our minds off of our sport or our work, and that's important. Do you read any, Seth? Or, you know, when somebody sees English major, you immediately think, this guy's in a book all the time. But then the writing caught me off guard. But do you read any for recreation?
I'm gonna be
probably
honest
not
with
right
you,
now.
I don't really like to read a whole lot. Like
you're the creator.
Yeah, I like the writing pieces more than just sitting and reading a novel.
I'm seeing like a short story of Coach Lamb on the creek fishing and something happens. I don't know. If you could just maybe next project maybe do that, and we could have you in for a podcast where you do like a dramatic reading of it, maybe like some nature sounds. I don't know what happens exactly, but I've already pictured it. This I don't know. It's just what I thought of. Now, Justin, what is it coaching a player like Seth who has interest off the field, is into things like writing? Is that a joy to you, and how does all that translate to how you coach him in football?
When you have kids that understand what life is about in general, and they're more easygoing, you can talk with them, be sociable with them. It just makes football a whole lot easier for us to coach. You know, you've got some kids that are die-hard, 24/7, football, and that's all they know.
Sure.
And it's hard to really draw a relationship with those kind of kids because you're always talking about the same thing. You're always talking about football. There's nothing, you know, what are your interests, you know, going back and forth. So when you got kids that, you know, enjoy the life outside of football a whole lot easier, it just you can always be sociable. Even during, like, if we're saying we're in practice, I mean, we'll just have random talk sometimes with each other, and it makes the day go by a whole lot easier sometimes.
What's the last random talk you all had?
I think it was last week when I came up. I can't remember if it was you or Greg, and I was like, "What are you thinking about?" And you probably said fishing. Yeah. But I feel like you were being a smart aleck, and you said I was thinking about the play, and you're like, "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, I'm really thinking about if I could have any food in the world right now, what would it? Because I was thinking about Chipotle and then like piata. Yeah. And I was just thinking about when the next time I was gonna get to have one of those foods.
Gosh, why'd you bring up food? I was getting ready to go to like another subject, but I have to know. So what would you eat right now if you could have anything in the world? Is it a Chipotle burrito or something?
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Like, are you on the Chipotle Qdoba fight, or would you take either one?
No, it's Chipotle.
Wow. See, I will go either one. Depends where I'm at. if they have both, it causes a huge fight in my brain. But I don't know. What do you think, Justin? Do you eat those things?
Nah, I'm off
Because
of
he's
that. I'm off of that completely.
Because he's from Eastern Kentucky, and there are people around here who don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I know what it is, but it's just
Most people I know around here will wear out some Taco Bell, though. So
it's
but
cheap.
it's cheap. When I was in college, I used to think you go to Taco Bell and you would order for seemed like 10 minutes, and no matter what I would say, it'd be like, okay, that's $2.39,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? But I think they've gotten a little greedier because now
Yeah.
you go there and you order for 10 minutes and it's like $8.72, and I'm like, whoa, what could be going on in that Taco Bell? So
And the thing is, you'll order 15 different things.
Yep.
But if you think about it, it's all basically the same thing.
it's like, oh my gosh,
it's-
now you've broken me.
Tortilla chips or a hard
Like
shell taco.
A Crunchwrap Supreme is a grilled stuffed burrito that has been flattened.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I'm done. I'm not going to talk. You've ruined it, I think. I'm just
It's
going to
like
think about that.
I always get the Nacho Bel Grande, but it's still a hard taco in a sense.
And you know what's rough, too, when you like food is the football travel. Because when you travel with a team, you got like 80 people to feed.
Yeah.
So you end up going to the same old kind of steakhouse.
Yeah.
I know back in the day they had the Sizzler was a restaurant you could go to in cities. And there's a big buffet. Now, when you get a bunch of guys in there, sometimes it's hilarious to watch the staff's faces. I know you've had to deal with that as a coach.
Oh yeah, definitely. Some of them can control themselves.
Yeah.
Others, it's as much as they can eat as fast as
It's a
they
great
can.
time to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have a problem me saying this, and I guarantee you when Coach Holland and you all have said this to me, it's nothing. We have a great football team. I've loved our team this year, but I've heard them say if we had 25 kids with Seth's attitude,
Definitely.
we could be a great team. Now, I think that's what they mean is they want everybody to look at Seth as a leader.
Definitely.
Prepare, play like he does. What is it about Seth? Once again, I know you've hinted on this, but I kind of want to know what that means when Coach tells me that.
Yeah. The probably most singular one thing is his heart.
Mm-hmm.
He does everything that he could do, does the best that he could do it at, always strives to get better at it.
Yeah.
And it's just that's something you can't teach. Heart you can't teach. And he's probably one of the very few that have a heart as well, this is going to sound wrong, but as heart as big as he does for this sport.
So I'm the Grinch.
Yeah. I mean,
Now, when I first got the job here, I would kind of Google some of our players, and I read articles from your high school days maybe, or when Georgetown was recruiting you, and you would talk about your size. I don't know. How tall are you? What would you say? Give me the real.
it's a touchy subject.
I'm like 5'8.5". I mean, I know what you're dealing with.
Honestly, probably 5'6".
Yeah.
I've been wearing boots a lot lately, so I could be like maybe 5'7".
But does that play into when you go in the off season? Do you want to be like, yeah, okay, I may be 5'6", 5'7", but I'm going to run through you? Do you think about that when you're training?
I don't really think about that because people are going to say that I'm too short no matter what I do. But I think in our offense it helps me because our offensive line's pretty big, so I can hide behind.
You're a little hidden.
Times.
Sometimes even Seth takes some patience. You'll say, why is he not charging through? But then like 2 seconds go by, then he's gone.
Yeah.
So that stuff's great. Seth also works for me in a way that you may not know. He's a social media pretty good guy. He keeps everybody positive on there, and I will retweet some of his stuff with the UPIKE account. I always like seeing that. Do you like social media? Do you enjoy it?
I mean, I think it's pretty fun. I think some people take it too serious.
Sure.
But
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I think it's a good way for some of the student, because our whole university is basically student athletes. I don't know the percentage, but it's nearly everyone, and I think that's a good way for us to reach out to the other teams. Like, even if you don't know them, like so and so had so many points in basketball, or so and so hit a home run in the baseball or softball game, just you like tweet at them and just kind of get the word out about their team in a positive way.
And I think having support for each other throughout teams is so important here. But also just social media as a writer, every once in a while it might give you a chance to write something on your mind and see how it goes. Like how many people might see it or respond to it. As a writer, it is another creative outlet.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. Like, one thing I like to do is post like song lyrics.
Sure.
Like, because I listen to some bands that aren't exactly like top
Mainstream.
names.
Yeah. All right, we know Seth. He's a good on the social media. Now, Justin, do you partake in that? I think you're maybe more of a consumer than a writer.
Yeah, I'm not so much of putting stuff out there. I just kind of
It's good for scores and stuff though too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. I'll be honest with you. It's Mid-South scores, and then like 25 guys I follow that are in Major League Fishing or Bass Pro Shops. It's that kind of stuff.
It has literally become how I get a lot of my sports news and scores. So instead of going to ESPN.com or whatever, I'll like search for whatever team I'm looking for. Just put in like Louisville. I graduated from the University of Louisville, so I'm always wanting to know how they're doing in football. Yeah. And so I'll just do that, and I get to hear not only the score, but then you can maybe see like 10 comments from national media, what they're saying and stuff like that. So that's where it's good. Now, in 2008, I was in Rhode Island working for the Big East Conference, and that's when I first had to get a Twitter. And there may have been like 50 people on it, and I was like, this isn't going to work. Now that Twitter guy probably has $1 billion. Easy. It's such a simple idea. You ever think about that, Seth, how, especially as a creative person, as a writer, that there's still an idea out there that could make you billions that hasn't been created?
Yeah, one that really annoys me is silly bands.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the dumbest inventions I've ever.
So that's where like it's like a shape. It might be like an animal, like a dog, but when you put it on, it looks like a bracelet. That somebody created that, and they are doing probably better than we are financially. Definitely. You know, I bet they're not having much fun because they're making silly bands. They're probably not on a podcast talking about awesome stuff, but they have way more money when they get out of here. Like now we're awesome, but then we're going to be back with our same style. All right, so we bounced all over the place, but I've thought of a final segment that literally came to me as I walked into work today. We got a gentleman over there in the office named Alvin. He works with us, and he said the only thing better than the weather today could be winning the lottery. And then me and Alvin just started talking about what we would do if we won the lottery. And I said, you know what? I'm going to ask Justin and Seth. You don't have a lot of time to think right now, and that was the point. But let's start with Justin. We're going to give Seth a little more time. But Justin, you win the lottery. What does that next 30 days look like? And I'm going to say it's like this isn't like the $50,000 scratch off. This is like the big one, the Powerball. You're bringing in like $200 million.
First thing?
Just 30 days. Tell us about those first 30 days.
I'm going to fish and this is God's honest truth, fish every lake that I've always wanted to fish.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Every single one. And that could take me longer than 30 days. I'm going to be honest with you.
And what are you, like, when you get to that lake, would you just buy, like, a new boat every time and put it, like, just whatever you got to do?
Yeah. I mean, I got money to spend. Why not spend it?
And on this question always, do you continue to work in any kind of facet?
Definitely, but it's one of them deals that, you know, I'm going to be there, but I'm not going to work.
I think you're a volunteer assistant coach to Coach Holland.
Yeah.
And stay here in Pikeville with us. But if there's like a Belhaven trip coming up where you got to drive on a bus for like 14 hours, you take off to Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
But if you have that much money, you probably have a magic carpet too.
Now, Coach Lamb, would we be taking a private jet to Belhaven?
I might take a private jet. I'll let them still drive the bus.
If he had a good enough handshake and looked you in the eye and said, "Can I get on that jet?" Would you let Seth Millar on there? It's Miller, but
possibly.
Okay, because I'm thinking
if I wouldn't let Coach Holland on there, and we've been friends since like 8th grade, it'd be rough for.
I'm seeing like Jet Lamb. It has a WWE network going at all times on the screens. You got Seth in there. You're working on handshakes.
And this is where you could drop the nickname.
Let me hear it.
It's Sir Lancelot.
Sir Lancelot.
No, I call him Sir Lam-a-lot.
Sir Lam-a-lot. That's not bad. That's probably we might put that on your bio there on the UPIKEBears.com. Okay, 30 days of just nonstop fishing traveling.
Definitely.
Would you eat like a king everywhere you go? Are you a big food person? Or
not a big food person.
You're actually on the last trip you gave me a big glazed donut. You might be more in the treats kind of stuff.
Definitely. I can do that. Definitely. It's
That's
usually
all you eat. You don't ever
Speedway,
eat like meals.
Speedway every morning, 3 donuts, just about every single morning.
I thought you just go to Speedway and like get your donuts and like tip them 100 for no reason. I mean, you got this is where I should not win the lottery. I just would start.
You'd start
throwing it.
Turn into Oprah.
Exactly. You're getting the donut. You're getting the. I can't help it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why everybody that wins the lottery. You watch those shows and they're just either broke or their families left them. So let's not get too sad here though, because we got to get Seth's answer. Okay, Seth. 30 days. You're done with football at UPIKE. You got your diploma. Okay, you graduated college, but you just won $200 million. Talk me through those 30 days.
First thing I do is probably buy my mom a house.
Yeah.
And then
that is the number one answer I'd say for athletes. They know who brought them here.
Yep. Definitely.
Well, and because I watch a lot of Family Feud, so
Okay.
survey says.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably just hang out. But really, if I could do anything that I wanted to, I'd probably like open up like a training facility.
Okay. Would you go home to do that over in, is it Waynesville, Ohio?
Now I don't live in Waynesville.
Okay.
I go back to Centerville, Ohio.
Centerville, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do like a CrossFit kind of thing, or what kind of gym, what would your gym look like?
I mean, it'd just be like a regular gym where you just get a membership and
Okay.
have like all the machines.
Like
and
a
stuff.
like a Gold's gym, but it's
Mhm.
Seth's gym.
Yeah.
All
No, our gym.
all the other gyms would be coming to see what his looks
Yeah.
like, you know.
Okay.
And if I had the
I
money,
mean,
I
the
could just
best
buy. I
setup,
could just buy
yeah.
them out, and I'd just be
Yeah.
like a monopoly.
Definitely.
But would you kind of you that would be your job though. You would
Yeah.
kind of be the CEO of
Yeah.
Seth's gym, whatever it would be called.
Seth Jim.
Seth's gym. All right, so I don't think I could stop working. I'd probably volunteer, probably as an SID at any school that maybe needs somebody to take stats. But I think I'd go crazy, like 1 billion hours playing video games. Sorry, I mean, I always fit in video games into this thing. So real quick, let me add, like Seth, are you not into that as much?
I could play like sports video games all
Okay,
day,
that's what
like NCAA and
Sure.
2K.
killed me when this whole NCAA
Oh, don't
stuff with
get me started.
EA Sports happened about the athletes needing their money. Let's forgive us like your 30-second spill. I mean, at our level in AI, we're obviously not on the same financial.
Mm-hmm.
We're not bringing in millions of dollars. We're not a for-profit. But these schools where they're making tons of money, what do you think, Seth, on that?
Well, my thing is, they got on last year, Johnny Manziel, about the autograph thing. And if you go on to last year, if you went on the Texas A&M website, it's $70 a pop for those jerseys. When you watch a game on TV, how many people are wearing a Johnny Manziel jersey, and he gets $0? Not to mention the ticket sales; they're coming to see him.
Sure.
And he does that for free.
Exactly. And I know I used to play like the NCAA football games back when Kentucky had Jared Lorenzen, and there's a bigger quarterback with number 22. That's obviously Jared Lorenzen. All right, but he's not getting a penny. So I agree with you. I think athletes should be able to make money off their likeness. If they want to go out and sign 100 autographs and get paid for it, I don't see that being a problem. Now, I could see with amateurism, not playing pro sports and not having an agent, but as far as having a job, I think it's a little unfair with their time constraints. And I could be argued the other way. What do you think, Justin?
I think if their name is being used, like on those Manziel jerseys or anything like that.
I guess in that instance, it was like his number.
Yeah, but that's still him, though.
It's him.
It's anything with a name, I feel like that's your right. It's your name. It's not the college's name or anything like that. I think there should be freedom to get paid for that. It's the use of your name.
And like when Ohio State got in trouble, Terrell Pryor, Boom Herron, and DeVere Posey. They sold their stuff that was like it was their stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
Like,
it'd be like you selling a pair of your shoes right now or something.
Yeah,
that's NCAA. Luckily, we'll have to figure that out, and we won't be in those meetings. But I think what'll happen is I think they will find out some kind of. It's not really a pay-for-play system, but kind of like a stipend where they can go out, maybe pick up a new pair of shoes and stuff. And that'll be a whole new division, this power conference we keep hearing about. And so who knows what that'll do to the D2, D3, D4. So it's all going to be interesting to look at. But, finally back to football with us. We're 2-6 overall, but gosh, it doesn't feel like it. It does not feel like it. I talked to Coach Holland the other day, and you want to, at some point, be able to quit talking about those what-ifs and make it we dids. And just you're 2-2, though, in the MSC East. There's football left. How are you, Seth, as you're in your senior year? What are you doing to stay positive as things haven't gone the way we hoped?
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. It's frustrating because I don't feel like we should be 2-6.
Not at all.
But I mean, I guess just have a positive attitude for the younger guys and understand that it's not about me or any of the other seniors. It's about the program moving forward and just still trying to do the right thing, showing up for practice, working hard. And just going into I go into every ball game the same way. I just try to go 1-0.
People didn't give us a lot of credit when we beat Bluefield early on because they thought that was a weaker team. Now we're seeing them playing good football. Yeah. We took care of business. Edward Waters was just a collapse that we learned from. You move on with, and that's a game you should win. You're up against Cumberland, Tennessee, a game to knock out, and then a late lead against Georgetown. We have not been out of any game, and that's frustrating. But like I said, there's 3 games left, including this Saturday, Senior Day, at 1:30 p.m. over there at Hambly Athletic Complex. Kentucky Christian coming in. Seth, it's your Senior Day. Last time you get to step on that turf here at UPIKE. What's that going to mean to you?
I think it would be a good experience for. We've got a lot of seniors and a lot of guys that essentially in college grew up with, and my family's going to be there, so it'll be a good moment to share with them.
And Justin, I just people will sometimes ask me, why are you so positive about this football season? I'm like, are you watching those games? This is a good football team.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's that matter of finishing games. I saw a quote from Vi Petrino, who's now at Louisville today, talking about playing Florida State coming up, and he was saying he's got to get these guys to understand it takes a team effort, staying positive, not worrying about there's going to be big plays both ways when we have so many talented players. It's what's going to happen that next play, what's going to happen those final 30 minutes, and not getting too down. And do you feel like this team is in position where they can finish strong?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we keep preaching as coaches, we've got to play 4 full quarters, and we're starting to get that feeling from the kids. They understand it. We've been practicing very well for the last couple of weeks, even though we've come off a couple of tough losses. We're still continuing to practice very good. We're still bonding as a team, even though we're 9 games in almost. And that's a big thing. You usually see when you're losing games, the team kind of starts to split.
Yep.
And we've seen it before. I have been here, but it's more we're still together. We're coming a little bit closer. We're understanding what it means to play for your brother and taking care of your brother. And we 3 games, very very possible wins. I mean, it's not out of the question.
For my eye in the sky up there, I'm not with you all the time, but it looks like we're getting better every week.
We have.
And that's
definitely
probably what you want to look at. And then getting the guys that are learning to play in the MSC and getting their feet under them. I think Quan Weaver has been a good help to you because now you have a guy who's coming in there and, gosh, he did a good job. If he's doing things differently than you, it gives you more an advantage to do what you do on the field. So.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think not that he wasn't a great player before, but I think he's improved so much because the type of system he's used to is like a downhill, straight, north and south type offense, and the zone. I feel like as a running back, the zone offense. It took me the whole the year when I transferred. I had a redshirt year, so it took me about a whole year to really feel fully comfortable. And I feel like now he's feeling comfortable in the system, and it's showing on the field.
My favorite times are when you got Seth Becker in the backfield and maybe Sonny, if he's a quarterback, will look over to you like, do we need to switch out of this play? And sometimes Lamb will be like, no, we're going to run this play. And then we hand it to Seth, and Seth might carry 20 people. Well, I mean, it's 11. I just love those moments. I feel like Seth's a warrior for you. And speaking of warriors, Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, Brett the Hitman Hart. Let's have one wrestling comment. Who is Justin Lamb's favorite wrestler?
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker. Now, that's a good one because it gets me because I was a 1992 to 99 guy when I was into wrestling. That dude's still going.
Yeah.
I don't know how old he is. He's got to be near 60.
It has to be, yeah.
But he's still going. And Seth, who's your favorite wrestler?
No question, The Rock.
The Rock.
It's new school. He's a little bit younger than us.
Great actor, too. He does pretty good in action movies. But you like The Rock?
He's a triple threat.
Yeah.
Lamb.
Dwayne, a football player, too. I think he played at Miami.
Yeah.
He played with Warren Sapp.
Okay. I brought that up because these guys, a few of the coaches and some of the GAs, I think they like to get together and watch a little bit of wrestling. They're still into it. I heard there's some of them that it makes their whole night.
Definitely.
Tim Hadlock, is that one of your...
It's not a Monday if wrestling's not on his TV.
We came back from our JV game last night, and a good 45 minutes of it, straight wrestling. That's all they talked about. 45, and it wasn't it was Timmy, and then Coach Hayes. There's 4 or 5 coaches.
Do you think those guys understand that it's a theatrical thing?
No,
definitely not. It's no.
There's that YouTube video, if you ever look it up, where there's a middle-aged guy, maybe in his 30s, and he's like, it's still real to me. Just telling all these old wrestlers, it's still real, guys. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not trying to bash any of those guys, but I like it for the theatrics of it. These guys,
if you sit down and watch it, it is a very well scripted series. That's essentially what it is.
That's what it is.
I mean, so that's a career. Those are writers. Everything that you see is a creative writing piece, and that's something you could even start writing and sending them scripts on match ideas. And I can see Seth Miller as a new executive writer at the WWE, because I know their offices are in Connecticut. Yeah. I used to drive by them on my way to my office in Rhode Island. So who knows what we'll see from Seth. I know he has a piece coming out on Justin Lamb's fishing expeditions, and he's going to maybe write for WWE. Who knows? I mean, now keep in mind, folks, in a few months, I think I'm going to get Coach Lamb, maybe Coach Holland, and who knows if Seth's still around. We're going to get on a boat. We're going to do some fishing and just kind of talk about that sport. But for now, I think we've probably wrapped it up.
Sport. It's the most electrical thing.
That
you couldn't pay me to fish.
Oh,
see, that's.
I can't.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I can't fit. I can't do it.
That's because you've never been with me.
Because I'm not patient enough.
That's true too.
Mm-hmm.
That is patience is a key to fishing.
I think if you had a group of people you really get along with, some friends, maybe you could sit there and just talk and play some music and enjoy it. But I think with the way Justin fishes, we might have to leave him alone, Seth. Because I think it's like a lifestyle. I don't know if I could handle it.
It is.
All right. Well, it's been Seth Miller. I'm gonna get on that train, the Miller, because when I first got this job, it was Millar. I know you guys.
What if I changed it and it was just like I had just both in there, Seth Miller, Millar. To please everybody.
That could be your writing name. Like, authors have like a fake name. This is by S. Miller Millar. Yeah. I would read that book.
No, it would be Seth with an F instead of a TH. Seth Millar.
Seth's a senior with us. Justin's been here 10 years as a Bear, 5 on staff. Right now as an assistant coach, director of operations, wide receivers coach, the guy I send all my emails to when I need something. Just what can he not do? Played a little arena football after his time at UPIKE, and he's up. Do we realize, Seth, this is a Hall of Fame member?
Yeah.
And now I'm not trying to paint any picture of what's going to happen 5 years down the road, but I think this guy could join you one day.
Definitely.
And that would be a great honor, Seth.
I need to work on my facial hair. I'm not really up to par with that, so I don't think they'll let me in.
We all three got a little something going on right now. I have to let mine grow like 6 months before it's even close to presentable, so maybe one day I'll grow up. So I think he has a shot. I don't know what the rules are in that Hall of Fame. I think it's like being 5 years removed from your playing days, but as long as Seth keeps in contact with us, lets us know how his writing career is going, I would love to see him up on stage.
If he definitely becomes famous with the writing, I think we can kind of put him in there. Otherwise, it'd be a bit iffy.
Yeah, second all-time leading rusher, big deal. What can you write? What can you write? So, well, hopefully we got a lot of writing left doing this football season for me to write about some good wins coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to get out of here. This has been the UPIKE Sports No Sports podcast. A lot happened in this show. I don't even know how I would explain it to somebody, but we got it done. So, guys, thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you
for having us.